Hey guys, Cher here, and today I wanted to do something a little different when it comes to the movie videos I wanted to make, since they are my least done videos next to my anime content at the moment. I posted my review of Assassination Classroom, okay? So, after just watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood recently, and doing a video about that, I started thinking about the upcoming movies for the end of this year, since there's going to be a bunch. I'm also writing a video about the Disney live-action remakes because I'm like the 1,000,000th person to do it, okay? While thinking, I remembered that, oh yeah, the upcoming Cats movie is a thing. Yay me. Now, I bet most of you are thinking already, Cait, what the hell is Cats? And why the hell does the trailer look like this instead of basically 2019 Lion Kinging the whole thing? Well, in order to talk about the trailer, I have to tell you the backstory of the source material that the movie is from, because I know all of you have no idea that there was even source material to this. Yes, there is source material, and I am very disappointed that I know it. This movie is actually based off of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical of the same name. And yes, I'm talking about the same dude that also wrote the musical for Phantom of the Opera, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, and so on. And also, yes, the cats look even more disturbing if you thought the trailer was anything noteworthy. But before we talk about the musical, there is another source where the musical was from. And yes, this is also a thing, but at least it's not as weird or horrifying to look at. In 1939, poet and playwright T.S. Eliot published a light poetry book titled Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. It's a silly little book talking about all different types of poems about different types of cats. I found some of the poems and they're pretty amusing to read. If I was a kid again, I'd enjoy it. Apparently this book was a favorite for a young Andrew Lloyd Webber, so in 1981, the show Cats premiered in London's West End and on Broadway in America just a year and 3 months later. The musical actually was welcomed with rapturous praise from audiences at the show's initial premieres in both countries. The initial London premiere won 5 awards for Best Musical and Best Song with Memory in the span of 2 years. The Broadway premiere won 12 awards for all-around categories for another 2 years. Then the North American productions kept receiving more awards from 1985 to 2003. And then the praise suddenly stopped. I literally checked all the nominations after 2003 and Cats won nothing, not even outside of the United States and England. Cats is remembered in modern society as a joke musical, and not like the producer's joke-type musical. I mean that everyone in the community of musical theater doesn't want to acknowledge that Cats existed despite it being a thing for the past almost 40 years and practically made Webber big bank. Yeah, you could argue that not everyone likes Phantom of the Opera either because of how ridiculous it is, but here's the difference. Everyone is not ashamed to like Phantom of the Opera, even after that garbage Joel Schumacher movie from 2004. The show is still running on Broadway. It's practically competing with The Lion King for the longest running musical at this point. People still go to New York or London or anywhere else to see Phantom of the Opera. People would rather be caught dead before entering the theater for Cats. Basically, if you want to get into musical theater or just theater in general, in order to pass the final exam, you can't like cats. It's basically rite of passage to say that you hate cats. And a lot of musical theater people I hang out with say that if you do like cats, you have no idea what musical theater even is. Well, they're not wrong exactly. Cats is honestly the weirdest thing I've ever seen pictures and videos of. As a show, it kinda doesn't work. I think Webber wanted to do what Phantom of the Opera would succeed at doing 5 years later, meaning making the whole thing almost without speaking dialogue, and though it's possible, for Cats, because the story is so confusing and its original source material was mainly poems, in not any particular order, most of the songs explain nothing about the plot, despite the fact that there is one somewhat. The only way I can understand what the musical was about was by looking it up myself, meaning other YouTube videos and reading articles about it, because the play itself kinda gives you jack squat. In fact, when the show was at first in production, the actors almost had no idea what to do with their characters because the script didn't give much to do with at all. All I'm saying is that Cats is not Wicked, South Pacific, or The Sound of Music, if you know what I mean. But now, I bet you're wondering, Cait, if it got so much praise for 20 years, it's bound to be somewhat good, right? Well, as a theater minor from college, Cats is not the worst thing I've ever seen as far as quality goes. Honestly, I think the makeup is pretty spot on if the characters needed to look like felines. The set makes the size proportions of the cats more accurately portrayed, and come on, you can't be a musical theater person and hate Memory. It's one of the most famous songs in Broadway history next to Tonight from West Side Story, Hakuna Matata from The Lion King, and Defying Gravity from Wicked. Once you hear it, it stays with you forever and there's no way to wash it out. If you knew where this song plays in this musical, feelings! Still, I decided to listen to the soundtrack to see what it had in store, and honestly, if this soundtrack was a standalone thing and not connected to a musical, I think this album would slap unironically. You know the poems from the book I mentioned earlier? They're actually used for the musical, and they're done very well. Sometimes they don't rhyme, which is kinda awkward, but it's not too distracting in my opinion. Also, while watching the movie adaptation from 1998, which was basically what NBC Live specials were back then, it made me realize that the choreography for this is something I would imagine a cat doing. Now that I mentioned that, I think it's time to finally talk about the 2019 trailer in full. I'm going to start off by saying that yes, the first time I saw this trailer, I screamed in terror. This has to be some of the creepiest Uncanny Valley CGI I have ever seen, and I'm going to quote Caitlin Coy when I say, "Monkastrap, what have they done to you?" I'm sorry, that's too funny to keep out of this video. Now, don't get me wrong, aesthetically, this could work if we're staying true to the original musical adaptation, and some of the designs do work with the actors portraying the characters. But the one thing that drives me crazy is, why the crap do they have human noses? That's just unnatural, especially for Jennifer Hudson and Judi Dench right here. Jesus Christ. Also, something I've noticed after watching the trailer for the 20th time, why do the girl cats have boobs? Cats don't have boobs. They don't even have a bust to hold them with. Alright, I know you can't see them that well because of the CGI, but they're still there if you look closely, especially on Rebel Wilson as Jenny Anydots. However, I will confess that the only two adorable cast members here are Francesca Hayward as Victoria because the whole white cat aesthetic actually looks good for a change, and Laurie Davidson as Mr. Mistopheles, because I am an absolute sucker for that shy lip thing no matter how creepy it looks. Yo, this is a human playing a cat in CGI. Laurie Davidson is not a furry. This is not a Lola Bunny argument, shut up. Everyone else, though... let me explain myself. My greatest concerns for this movie are only 4 characters because of the actors and nothing else. First and foremost is Taylor Swift as Bomb Ballerina. Bomb Ballerina is supposed to be the flirtatious cat. And though Taylor Swift has done a lot of romancing in her music videos, I don't consider her to be flirtatious at all. Heck, I don't think she even knows how to fake flirt in front of the cameras. If she's going to make this character the bitchy cat, then that would be an entirely more accurate story. However, if we learned anything from Valentine's Day and the Me music video, this girl can't act. My second concern is Jason Derulo as Rum Tum Tugger. First of all, if you know Jason Derulo, he's one of the worst singers who have ever lived. Also, I was introduced to Rum Tum Tugger like this.
Meow. If you offer me a pheasant, I'd rather have grouse. If you put me in a house, I would much prefer a flat. If you put me in a flat, then I'd rather have a house.
I'm just praying to God that Hollywood doesn't upgrade his song to be some hip-hop rap jam just for... Oh God, no! Third reason, Rebel Wilson as Jenny Anydots. Wilson is an amazing actress and comedian, but for a musical like Cats, do we seriously need a comedic character who ends up being the butt of everyone's jokes here? That wasn't the point. Then the last thing I'm worried about is James Corden as Buster Jones. I just have every reason to not like this comedian in general. I'm just sick and tired of this guy being in movies.
She's my friend. I know her.
Alright, I'm done whining. How about the rest of the cast? I've heard people complain about a lot of things, but I've already mentioned them already. But let me start with the elephant in the room. Francesca Hayward as Victoria. What's to complain about with that? We haven't heard of her before because she's an English actress. She can dance and she looks pretty with the CGI. Basically, the only female who does. Well, the people who do like the original musical are complaining that this white cat, that's obviously been made by computers, is portrayed by an African English girl. Now, most of you who are watching this video are probably very sensical, and you're probably asking yourselves, like I am, who gives a crap if white people have black, brown, and orange fur? To which you are right. I think that ever since the whole Disney casted a black girl to play the Little Mermaid thing, all the racially sensitive assholes are getting uppity about what characters should be affected by race and what characters cannot. Clearly, these people have not seen In the Heights, The Wiz, or Hamilton. As long as this girl can act and dance, I think we'd be perfectly safe with this Victoria. Especially since it sounds like she's going to be the main character anyway. The lesser complaint I've heard is the casting of Judi Dench as Old Deuteronomy. As every musical theater person knows, this character has been usually portrayed by a dude. Normally a black dude, except for the London premiere, who was portrayed by an older white gentleman. However, since I've never seen the full form of Cats for the stage, I think Judi Dench will probably do the character the same amount of justice as before by any man that portrayed this character. Judi Dench can't do anything wrong. She was Queen Elizabeth, for God's sakes, and she's the voice you hear when you ride Spaceship Earth. Leave the woman alone. Then we have Idris Elba as the villain, Macavity. In the stage show, he's only seen in Act 2 as he kidnaps Old Deuteronomy, and when the other cats get their leader back, yeah, Macavity didn't do much else. So I'm hoping Idris Elba is more prevalent in this movie, because if Idris Elba can scare me as Cher Khan in the Jungle Book remake and make my spine shiver as Chief Bogo in Zootopia, he's bound to do the same amount of justice in this. Now, I'm gonna skip right on over to who I think is the most important character of the movie, Jennifer Hudson as Grisabella. I'm not going to dive into her tragic arc here, but by how Hudson sings Memory during this trailer, I think she's not half bad.
And your face to the moonlight, then a new life began. Touch me, it's so easy to leave me all alone with the memory of my days in the sun.
You can tell that Hudson decided to sing through the emotional acting route because instead of being all voice, she plays around with the sound and when to blast those vocal cords. And because this will turn into a movie musical, I don't mind that. I think it adds more to the atmosphere. If I have one nitpick about her appearance, if I can recall from the soundtrack, Grisabella is supposed to be, well...
You see, the border of her coat is torn and stained with sand.
She looks perfectly clean to me, Tom Hooper. What the heck happened? Tom Hooper is the one who directed this movie, by the way, but from the way I'm seeing things so far, it looks pretty polished and sincere. Now, we won't fully know that until the movie comes out in theaters, which will be in December of this year. I know how I'll be celebrating my Christmas. My opinions? Well, I can't personally hate it if I don't know what the movie's going to do with the plot, since it kind of looks very different from the stage musical.
Are you going to try for a different life?
Maybe they might do the whole new life plot line that the musical did, but like I said, we won't know until it comes out. The trailer didn't exactly explain much of that either, but that's what the trailer's supposed to do, unlike the others that just explain the entire movie to you in under 3 minutes, like we're too bored to go to the movies lately. So my ending thoughts are pretty in limbo at this point. It's halfway between this could be one of the worst movies of 2019, or ever, or this movie could bring back a good reputation to a musical that pretty much lost it. I don't know for sure, but I believe Cats as a legacy is on the fence right now because of this movie, and the whole world is definitely going to be watching and making their opinions. This movie could make or break Cats for the rest of its life.
Are you going to try for a different life?
And that's pretty much it for my opinions on Cats, the musical and trailer included. If you guys have any thoughts about the trailer or Cats in general, and I know you do, please share in the comments below. Maybe you don't agree, and that's fine. Maybe you don't agree with me, and that's fine. Opinions are meant to be shared. However, please don't hesitate to leave a like and subscribe for more videos if you haven't done so already. I'm Cait, and it's been real. Ciao!